My husband, children, and strong Democratic women encouraged me to seek this public office for change. They had more confidence in me than I had in myself. We didn't do badly, even though I lost. It was an experience I shall always cherish. The race gave me the confidence to challenge and mentor other women to seek public office. As my husband says, roosters crow, but hens deliver.
I'm Virgie Rollins, the DNC Black Caucus Chair. Thank you, Chairwoman Lottie Shackelford. The one person that encouraged me to speak up was my dad, who is a Kojic minister. Every day, he will remind me that he was raising a leader. I'm number 7 of 16, and I am so excited to serve as the DNC Black Caucus Chair, and especially today, when we have our first African-American woman in Senator Kamala Harris, the next Vice President of the United States.
Hi ladies, this is Chairwoman Iris Martinez from the Hispanic Caucus in the DNC. I'm also State Senator in Illinois. I was the very first Latina ever elected in 2002 to the State Senate. And it was a very exciting time for a woman to break barriers. I asked my sisters in this video to watch, to step it up and do what you can to make a difference when it comes to politics. Believe me, we can do it all. Love you. Have a great convention.
Hello. I'm Lottie Shackelford, Vice Chair Emeritus of the Democratic National Committee and Chair of the Women's Caucus of the DNC. I first had the courage to step up many years ago when a group of women I was affiliated with called Black Female Action had been sitting around the table trying to decide who they were going to support in our local governmental races. We couldn't come up with a candidate who we felt truly expressed our priorities. So someone in the group said, well, we need to find someone to run. And somebody then goes like, well, Lottie, you should run. Me? Why me? Is what I said. And as we talked, I then began to say, why not me? So my question to you is, why not you? Why not you run for city council? Why not you run for state representative? Why not you run for governor of your state? Why not you run for president of these United States?
Deb Haaland serves as a U.S. representative from New Mexico's 1st Congressional District. The district includes most of Albuquerque along with most of its suburbs. She is a former leader of the Democratic Party of New Mexico. She is one of the first 2 Native American women elected to the U.S. Congress. The representative is a member of the Luganan Pueblo people. On March 7, 2019, during a debate on voting rights and campaign finance, Haaland became the first Native American woman to preside over the U.S. House of Representatives. It is an honor to introduce such an outstanding woman, Congressman Haaland.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Betty, for that wonderful introduction. And thank you, Chairwoman Shackelford, for your remarkable leadership of this amazingly powerful caucus. In 2018, they said it was the year of the woman. I think we're going to have more years of the woman, and it'll go for a very long time. Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you all so much for being here to celebrate the significance of having powerhouse, trailblazing women in elected office. Women's engagement in government is the ultimate catalyst for change. Women are the largest voting bloc in this country, and Democrats up and down the ticket can't win without our support. Political decisions touch our lives every day, and despite progress, women, especially women of color, have never had a fair shot in this country. I'm a single mom who used to live paycheck to paycheck. I know what it's like to be on food stamps, and I've experienced homelessness at times. I was used to being underestimated. I knew that I had what it takes to represent my community, but throughout my journey of running for office, I've been told many times that I couldn't do it. When I was running for a chair position for the state chair, I was told I'd be better suited for the vice chair role. These instances of microaggression happen to women across the country every single day. I'm honored to moderate this discussion with 3 fierce women today, and I'm so honored to have the opportunity to introduce the first panelist, Pulaski County Clerk Terry Hollingsworth from Arkansas. Terry has been a trailblazer in her community and served on all levels of government from the beginnings of her career working as city planner for Little Rock to later working as economic development administrator and beyond. And I am so honored to have her here right now. And welcome, Terry.
Well, thank you, Representative Holland. Good to see you. Great to meet you.
Oh, nice to see you too. This is really exciting. And I know we don't have a whole lot of time, so I'm going to get right into it because I know people want to hear from you.
Sure.
Clerk Hollingsworth, can you speak to what it's like to be the first Black woman to hold this position in a Southern state?
Well, I tell you, there's so many emotions with that. And the biggest emotion, of course, is excitement and being proud that the voters actually elected me, but also a feeling of nervousness in terms of, when you break this kind of barrier, you have folks who look at you differently. And they really, some want to see you fail, but, others, of course, want to see you excel. And, of course, being the first Black person, I feel like there's a total weight on my shoulders that's saying, you have to be Superwoman and make sure you get this done.
Absolutely. So what are some examples of decisions a county circuit clerk makes that directly impacts her constituents?
Okay, so let me just let you know that I'm the circuit clerk and I'm the county clerk. So that means that I am the voter registrar for the county. Also, if you're looking for all real estate holdings, they happen within our county. And if you're actually trying to file a lawsuit, then that happens within my office as well. So I have a myriad of different jobs, but the biggest one, especially right now, is being the voter registrar. And so I'm just trying to make sure that we have a safe election and certainly make sure that folks can actually get their ballots, read, and we have a great election.
Absolutely, especially with this president who is working around the clock every day to disenfranchise everyone. So thank you for the work you do. Last question, Clerk Hollingsworth. How do you think your identity helps to transform the conversations you have with your colleagues when making these decisions?
Well, I can tell you that being the first Black clerk and then being in some certain settings, being the only Black person in the room, I feel like my identity, I have to say something that I feel like it's not just. But I also feel like I have the decision of my ancestors didn't get a chance to vote. And I want to make sure that everybody, Black and brown and white people, can actually vote and do it safely and do it in a great way. My parents made sure that I had a voter registration card when I turned 18. I'm in turn trying to make sure that my son did it, which he has his, and trying to make sure that everybody in this county not only votes, but they have fun voting and that they want to go to the polls. So it's just been a great, tremendous, burden, but yet a great pride to do this and make sure everybody gets to vote.
Well, thank you so much. I have to say that looking at you and hearing from you, it makes me just internalize so deeply that representation truly matters. I'm so proud. I'm proud of you. I'm proud to be here with you on this stage and appreciate you joining us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity. Can't wait to meet you in person.
Yes, absolutely. So everyone, this is such a great panel. I'm so excited about it. Next up is Councilwoman Anna Sandoval. Anna is a pioneer for infrastructure advocacy and has been a champion for public health, open and transparent government, climate resiliency, and transportation. She's worked for various departments on air quality and climate change, environmental justice, public information engagement programs. She also worked with the Harvard School of Public Health and the UT School of Public Health San Antonio on environmental health research projects. And so this is like everything you're doing is so timely. And I'm so honored to have you here. Welcome, Councilwoman Sandoval.
Thank you so much, Representative. It's an honor to be here with you all.
Yes, it's amazing. We have, as I said, we have fierce women today, and I'm going to just launch into questions with you as well. Councilwoman Sandoval, what does it mean to you to be the first immigrant to hold a city council position in San Antonio?
Well, I mean, it's certainly an honor to serve the public. And I have to tell you, in a community that's majority Latinx, it's kind of a surprise that I'm the first person who's an immigrant. I ran for office like many of us did for many reasons. But I have to tell you, one of the weighing factors was the words that a candidate said in 2016 about Mexican immigrants in San Antonio. We never thought this person would be president. One day that happened in November of 2016, and I was not going to let those words stand. I am not, I am some of the best that immigrants have to offer. I feel we're all wonderful. So, it's very personal in that sense. But some of the wonderful things that happen is that I get to talk to people before they take their immigration exams when they're studying for citizenship. And that's wonderful to connect with them. It also really helps that I speak Spanish fluently, and that hasn't always been common in our local government. We see it more now, but that allows me to connect to a whole constituency that maybe wasn't very engaged in government. So it's been wonderful for that reason.
Absolutely. And they must feel so proud and so appreciative that they can finally communicate with government. So thank you so much for that. You serve as the chairperson for the Committee on Community Health and Equity. What has this been like, and has COVID made this role more challenging for you?
It's a great question. So it's the first time our city council has a committee with a charge of health in it. So that's exciting for us. We've done a lot of wonderful things. We've passed the Tobacco 21 ordinance, which raised the minimum age for the purchase of tobacco to 21, which was subsequently adopted by the state and the U.S. A climate action and adaptation plan came out of that. Racism as a public health crisis. We just adopted a resolution in my committee that will hopefully be adopted by full council this week. So it's been great work. Has COVID made that more difficult? Absolutely. One of the reasons is, people dismiss science sometimes. It's not the first time I see it. I have a climate science background. I have a public health epidemiology background. It's really surprising, this relentless attack on the facts. But at the end of the day, we need local leaders. We need leaders at every level who know how to use science, how to rely on it to make good policy that helps save lives and improve people's lives.
That's excellent. And this is my last question for you. Tell me, so San Antonio, I've been there. It's a beautiful city, very large and diverse. What are some of the lessons you've learned serving a city like San Antonio?
You're right about the diversity. It's a huge city. We have 10 council districts. Each of us represent about 180,000 people. We have 10 council districts. And each one of those districts has that same level of diversity in it. What I found was one of the most important things that I've learned is really, really striking and disheartening. You may have seen the pictures of our food distribution by the San Antonio Food Bank a few months ago. It made the front page of the New York Times, where there were just thousands of cars of families waiting for food. When I talked to the president of the food bank, he said, yes, we had a lot of people that way that day, but the truth is we help tens of thousands of people every week with our food bank. And those are people who have jobs, people who have full-time jobs, but still cannot make ends meet. So that may be the case in other cities, but what I think this means is we have to find a way to ensure that working families can make ends meet, even if they have blue-collar jobs, because we will always need blue-collar workers, and those are dignified jobs. And we have to do what government can do to make sure those people can.
Absolutely. And that's why we're going to elect Joe Biden and make our country better. Thank you so much, Anna. It was such a pleasure having you. Thank you very much for joining us today. And now we turn the spotlight to Wheeling City Council member Rosemary Ketchum. The groundbreaking councilwoman has been a longtime community organizer, and I know what that's like. Now, as a city council member, Rosemary advocates for wraparound holistic resources and solutions to marginalized communities, as well as the expansion of social services, and she plans to address the opioid crisis head on. Welcome, Rosemary. So happy to have you here.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Yes, it's wonderful. So tell me, what are the decisions and actions being made at the local level that we should know are happening? And what are some of the fights you've had in this role that you didn't expect to have?
Great question. I think municipalities are incredibly relevant right now, and the work that we are tasked with doing is some of the most important work anywhere in the country. So, in the city of Wheeling, I am the chair of our Health and Rec committee, and I am proposing racial justice work, not only in law enforcement, but around mental health and recreation in our communities. I represent one of the most diverse neighborhoods in our city. And so working to promote racial justice, LGBTQ justice in my community is incredibly important, and something that I think municipalities are particularly well placed to do.
Excellent, excellent. So I know that homelessness is an issue that you've been very vocal about in your community. How can people take action in their own communities, especially as these evictions, which the Democrats have been fighting against since this pandemic started, are tragically set to increase in the next few months?
Yes, I am a person who has personally experienced homelessness in my life. A decade ago, my family experienced a house fire. And our homelessness was circumstantial, but much of the homelessness that we experience here in the city of Wheeling is chronic homelessness. Some of our community members have been homeless for 10, 15, 25 years. And that really lets us know that this has more to do with shelter. Oftentimes, there are mental health components here, socioeconomic implications that our city really has an obligation to address. And so I have a mental health background. I'm the associate director of a facility here in the city of Wheeling, and I'm very passionate about providing a holistic and comprehensive approach to tackling homelessness. We are the greatest country in the world. There is no reason why a single person should experience homelessness here in our country. And so I'm dedicated to doing that work here at a local level.
Thank you. Thank you. Last question for you. You're a trailblazer. There's no doubt about that. And you're a trailblazer in the fight for gender equity. Cis champions are often centered in the conversation. How can we become more inclusive to trans leaders who are similarly achieving milestones like the one that you've achieved and that we're all so proud of?
Yeah, I didn't run to make history. I ran to make a difference, but I'm so grateful that, my victory has been so well received, not just here in the state of West Virginia, but across the nation. One of the things that cis allies can do is give platform to trans voices to talk about issues in addition to trans issues. So, homelessness and the opioid crisis and racial justice are particularly important to me in addition to trans issues. So it's important that we allow trans folks to be intersectional and diverse and focus on the things that matter most to them.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful talking with you. I'm so happy that you were here with us, and I will look forward to seeing you in person the next time also. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. What a wonderful way to start the afternoon. Thank you to these wonderful leaders for coming, for leading, for winning their elections, for moving their communities forward. All of you are an inspiration to all of us and the future of where we want to go. Now, I am so honored. It's very hard to follow our last panel, but that's no problem for my sister in Congress, Representative Katie Porter, who puts the fear into the Republican minority.
And we're going to Mang.
Oh, Deb? Hi, Deb. It's Grace Mang with a commercial interruption for my awesome pioneer colleague, Deb Holland. You were busy doing important things. So we have to change up the schedule just a little bit because of availability of different speakers. So I'm going to let Speaker Pelosi speak, and then we're going to head to the amazing Katie Porter.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Grace. So happy.
Sorry, Deb. So apologize, everyone, for the abrupt interruption. And thank you, Deb, and to all those amazing speakers for your tremendous leadership and advocacy. And I want to thank our chairwoman, Lottie Shackelford, for her amazing work, not just now during the convention and in the weeks leading up to the election, but every single day and month of the year. Thank you to all our caucus officers and members who are inspiring leaders to all of us in their own right. This is such a momentous occasion and pivotal time for women in America. And I want to thank my fellow caucus members for the tremendous work that you have done every year, every month, every election. In my travels, I've met so many of you in your districts, and you really have been leading the way, campaigning up and down the ballot. You know, we have witnessed Donald Trump's attacks on women since day one. Attacks on our healthcare and bodies, attacks on our character. This week, our party will nominate a true leader, Joe Biden, for president. And we have the historic opportunity to nominate Senator Kamala Harris as vice president, the first Black and Asian American woman. That makes this occasion even more meaningful. And I'm so proud to be here with all of you as we approach the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment. And I'm reminded of how far we've come and how far we still have to go. Even after the amendment's passage, millions of Black women were denied their right to vote. So we still have a long journey towards true equality for all women in America. Luckily, our country is home to strong women who have answered the call to rise up, to restore dignity and compassion to the White House, and to push for real impactful change. We are joined today, we're so lucky, by the best role model for women in leadership that I can think of. Our speaker, Speaker Nancy Pelosi, is a trailblazing fighter. She spent her entire life and career fighting for our children. And I see this firsthand in Congress. Every single day, she always reminds us that it's about the children. I'm so honored to serve in her caucus, the most ethnically diverse and highest number of women ever. And under Speaker Pelosi's leadership, Democrats flipped the House and ushered in the most diverse freshman class ever in American history. I want to take a chance to thank each and every one of you because so many of you played the role in helping us flip the House in 2018, and we're going to need your help again. And can you imagine today, especially during this pandemic and during this election, if Nancy Pelosi was not in charge? So we hold a majority in the House, but we need to protect our most vulnerable members who are under attack from Republicans every day, and we have to expand our majority. Speaker Pelosi never stops fighting for all Americans, and we've needed her leadership now more than ever under Trump's first and only term as president. On days where the news coming from this administration has been disconcerting and dangerous, we all look to Speaker Pelosi for her strength in both words and action. She is just getting started, and I look forward to what she accomplishes with a President Biden and a Vice President Harris. It is my honor, and please join me all as we welcome our Speaker of the United States House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi.
Thank you very much, Grace Meng. I'm so proud to serve with you. As a mom of 5 children who came to Congress after my children were just about grown, I'm in awe of you. When you bring your little boys, now they're getting bigger, but still little boys, to the Congress, and I see how you weigh all of the challenges that we have as members of Congress, and that as a mom, you're an example to women across the country. that their voices are heard in the Congress, and that your example is one they want to follow. I'm so proud of you as your leadership role at the Democratic National Committee, in the Congress as a member of the Appropriations Committee, a big honor, and for them and for you. And again, I appreciate your kind remarks. I accept them on behalf of the House Democrats and all who are present here who helped make our victory possible in 2018. And that year, we elected the most diverse, as Grace said, Congress, a House majority. We have over 60% are women, people of color, LGBTQ members. That's very proud. Now, as we celebrate the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, I think it's important to note that now we have 105 women in the House of Representatives. Proud to say 90 of them are Democrats. 90 are Democrats because we made a decision. We went from 12 to 90 since I came to the Congress. The Republicans went from 11 to 15, and they may lose some in the next election. But we want our numbers to grow. Lottie Shackelford and I have been friends for decades. Long before I was in Congress, we were in the Democratic National Committee together. I know of her commitment to advancing women in every way, politically and within the party and the rest, as well as her commitment to a fairer America. Thank you, Lottie. And I heard you say at the beginning of the program, whatever convention this is for you, whether it's your first or your 20th, well, it's my 15th. I came to my first convention when I was 12 years old with my father, who was mayor of Baltimore at the time. And I have since then served as a delegate, of course, but also as chair of the convention, as chair of the platform committee, as chair of the host committee. So now to be part of a virtual convention is pretty thrilling. And again, I'm in awe of all of you who are making this possible. Gwen Moore, thank you for your gracious welcome to Milwaukee and Marina's beautiful blessing, putting us in time and place and spirit for all of this. Deb Holland, just so you know, in our freshman class, we had this very dynamic class, a huge class, a transformative class. The last time there was a class of this size was when the Watergate babies came to Congress many years ago, before most of you were born. And at that time, not one of those freshmen were a chairman of a committee, held a gavel, presided in the first year. In this class, 18 of the freshmen chair subcommittees, 10 women, 8 men. And one of the women is Deb Holland, who, as one of the first Native Americans, she and Sharice Davids in this Congress, first a Native American women to come to the Congress. She chairs the subcommittee on on natural resources, the subcommittee on public lands, which is Indian country. Is that just so beautiful? Doesn't that make you feel great? Imagine she sets the agenda, she presides at the meetings, she's in charge. And we love not only women being in Congress or having a seat at the table, but at the head of the table. And we have many women, 35 subcommittees, but many full committees as well. Nita Lowy, Carolyn Maloney, Maxine Waters, Zoe Lofgren, Eddie Bernice Johnson, Nydia Blasquez, Kathy Castor, the list goes on. Let me just say that everyone was saying who encouraged them to run. I was encouraged to run by a member of Congress, a woman member of Congress. Her health was failing, and she came to me and said, "You have to run for Congress." I had any intention of running for Congress or any public office. I was actually very shy. Anyway, when I went to my family, they said, we support you, whatever you want to do. I said, well, I don't know if I'll win, but she wants me to run. So run I did, and little would we know that if I went from housewife to House Speaker. And that's the way it was. But in any event, my message to women is be ready. You just don't know what's around the next corner. My other message is, it is not a zero-sum game. One woman's success does not diminish your prospects. Any woman's success enhances all of our prospects. And to, again, repeat what they've heard others say today, there is nothing more wholesome for our political system, for our system of governance than the increased participation of women. It just makes all the difference. Not that women are better than men, but the beauty is in the mix. So the diversity of opinion makes us make better decisions all along. And why shouldn't we be at the table, at the head of the table? So I thank the DNC Women's Caucus for the invitation to be with you today. As I say, I love Lottie. We've been girlfriends for decades. She's much younger than I am, but we've been girlfriends for decades. And I've followed her work and followed her lead on many, many occasions. So congratulations, Lottie. Congratulations, Tom Perez. Congratulations to everyone who are making this virtual convention, a convention that will lead the way to the White House, electing Joe Biden president and Kamala Harris vice president of the United States, as we increase our numbers in the House, win the Senate. And again, I'm so glad that you had all the local officials, because we want to sweep all of those places, including the governorship, state houses, and local. So onward to victory. And don't get discouraged by some of what they're doing. We don't agonize, we organize. Thank you, DNC Women's Caucus.
Thank you so much. This is Congresswoman Katie Porter, and it's so lovely to hear from you, Speaker Pelosi. Thank you so much for your inspiring words today, but for what you do to inspire men and women in this entire country every single day. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Congresswoman Katie Porter. I represent the 45th Congressional District in Orange County, California. And when I was elected in 2018, I became the first Democrat to represent this patch of land in 70 years. And I want to talk a little bit today about what it has meant to be part of this historic class of women and what it is like to serve in the U.S. Congress. And so I wanted to start by acknowledging all of the hoopla, all of the celebration. So wonderful when we elected this record number of women. And I would be asked over and over again, what is it like to be served with so many women? Well, I got to be honest with you, so many women is what gathers when there's a big shoe sale at Nordstrom's. So many women is not what we have yet in the United States Congress. We're still actually only at 24% representation. And that's including the amazing women that we added in 2018. So we need to keep working, keep continuing to elect women in city halls, to water districts, to state houses, secretaries of state, all the way up through our historic nomination of my friend, Senator Kamala Harris, to be the vice president of this country. I just wanted to say a little bit about what it means to be the only single mother of young kids serving in the U.S. Congress. When we were talking about the CARES Act and we were debating the $1,200 stimulus payments, we heard in the briefing, this is going to be the policy if you're a single taxpayer. This is going to be the policy if you're a joint taxpayer, a married couple. But as I listened, I didn't hear any mention of me. As I file as a single head of household, a person who earns an income and has dependents. And when I raised this issue with the Ways and Means Committee and learned the answer to how the CARES Act was going to deal with this, they said, you might be the only member of Congress who files as a head of household. But because that's my situation, that's how I thought about the issue. I thought to ask about something that's going to affect millions of single parents and others who earn caregiving roles as solo earners around the country. I am so fortunate to have worked with amazing, trailblazing women like Elizabeth Warren, who was my professor, and Kamala Harris, who gave me my first opportunity in public service, helping to supervise the nation's largest banks in a settlement that she won. Without their support, without their encouragement, I would never have had even an idea that I could run and that I could win and that I could serve. But when I got to Congress, I decided I was not going to let anyone intimidate me. When I walk into a hearing, I know that I have the wind at my back, and that wind comes from the incredible power of the American people, and particularly all the women who understand what it's like to get up every day and take care of others, to think about children, to put community first. I firmly believe that the work of organizations like Emily's List, Vote Mama, Fund Her, and others matters, because women lead differently. We think about power differently. We think about teamwork differently. We think about risk differently. And so it matters to have not just women's voices in leadership, but the incredible diversity of women that we're helping to elect. There is nobody better that I could introduce to talk about what it means to elect more women than our next speaker, the one and the only, the amazing Stephanie Shriak. When I went to run as a candidate, I was so honored to be Emily's List's first endorsee in 2018. But even then, I don't think I fully appreciated what it means to have Emily's List stand with you. They are a true partner. In the best of times and in the toughest of times on the campaign trail, Emily's List is there, changing our politics, changing our policies to make our country the true representative democracy that it should be. So I'm honored to turn over the virtual podium to my friend, my mentor, and one of my true heroes, Stephanie Shriak, the president of Emily's List.
Oh my gosh, thank you, Congresswoman Katie Porter. We love you at Emily's List. You are just fantastic. And it's hard to believe, by the way, that Emily's List has been electing pro-choice Democratic women to office for 35 years. 26 U.S. senators, 150 members of the House, 16 governors, and nearly 1,100 state and local officials who we have brought to office. And with them, great diverse voices and perspectives from all across the country. And Emily's List works hard in all sorts of races, from district attorney to U.S. Senate, just like we did for Kamala Harris, the woman I can't wait to call Madam Vice President. Friends, let me share with you, since 2016, more than 55,000 women have come to Emily's List to say they want to make a plan to run for office. And I hope you'll join them. Come run with us. Visit emilyslist.org and sign up for our candidate training program, Run to Win. We need women running for every office in the nation, period. And let me make one more thing clear. Democrats win when women voters stand with us. The Biden-Harris ticket will make history in many ways, but only if we ensure the largest gender gap in American history. That isn't just how we win. That is how we crush the Republican Party. Now, it's my great pleasure to hand it over to an incredible leader and a dear partner in this work. Glynda Carr is the president, CEO, and co-founder of Higher Heights for America, an organization dedicated to growing Black women's political power from the voting booth to elected office. Glynda, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Stephanie. And I'm so excited to join the Women's Caucus tonight. This is usually my favorite meeting to go to. And so I'm so happy we were at least able to gather virtually. Again, I am Glynda Carr, co-founder, president of Higher Heights for America, the political home for Black women's political leadership. And it is a place where we are gathering Black women and our allies across this country to be informed, engaged, and to take action. And more importantly, for us to mobilize and elect Black women. So across my shoulder, you see a print of Shirley Chisholm. She once said, at present, our country needs women's idealism and determination now more than ever in politics. And I think that statement rings true today. And the women across this country, both voters, activists, candidates, and elected leaders, that is what we're doing. In the spirit of Shirley Chisholm, we are stepping into and leaning into our power. So I always know the anniversary of Shirley Chisholm's run for president because that is the year I was born. And so 48 years ago, Shirley Chisholm was preparing, to go to the Democratic convention to have her name entered into nomination from the floor. And as the first Black woman to ever serve in Congress, she is the legacy that is built for this moment. And Higher Heights is built on her legacy. How do we ensure that Black women have the tools they need to be active participants in this democracy? Now more than ever, Black women are demanding our return on our voting investment, and that's in the form of policies that directly impact Black women, our families, and our communities. And we're claiming seats at decision-making tables. And that is the work of Higher Heights. We are investing in Black women's political leadership. At the end of the day, we celebrate all the gains we've made, but the 23 million Black women in this country are still underrepresented and underserved. And that is the work of the moment. We have the largest number of Black women running for Congress this year, the record number of Black women nominees for Congress. And at the end of the day, we're going to elect the record number of Black women across this country, both at local levels all the way up to the White House. And what do we need to do that? We need to continue to recruit, train, and support Black women. And we invite you to be part of our political home, a space where there is always a seat at the table, regardless of who you are. We center Black women's political leadership, but we know that we need a diverse field of people that are willing to and able to invest in our leadership. So in 2018, we elected the largest number of Black women to serve in Congress. We have 25 bold, amazing Black women who are leading in Shirley Chisholm's unbought and unbossed legacy. And at the end of the day, we celebrate the freshman five, but more importantly, we sent in 2018 a teacher, a nurse, a city council member, a state legislator who is a Malian refugee, and a mother of a slain Black boy. And so they joined the CBC women, and they're bringing their unique voices to Congress at a time that is important to ensure that every American can help us build an America we can believe in. So join our work at higherheightsforamerica.org and help us inspire the next generation of Black women. But for the next almost less than 80 days, we need to ensure that we are fired up and ready to help Black women lead at the polls and on the ballot. And we need that work. There are amazing Black women running across the country that you'll probably be introduced to over the next couple of days. But we need to virtually knock on doors, meaning we need to make phone calls, we need to text, and we need to ensure that we are sending a bold new class to join congressional members like Terry Sewell, who you'll here shortly. And at the end of the day, we need to continue to train Black women. And so we've been hosting hashtag Black Women Lead political webinars over the last couple of years. And more importantly, you can do that work by just sitting in your home in a quiet corner and gaining the tools you need. But we also need to engage Black women voters. Y'all know when we fire up a Black woman, she doesn't go to the polls alone. She brings her house, her block, her church, her union. And for the first time, you're going to really know that we bring our sorority. And so we are, standing at a historical moment. We are so excited that our formally endorsed candidate, Kamala Harris, is preparing to accept her nomination on Wednesday. But at the end of the day, there are amazing Black women that have been talked about that could have been the vice president nominee. The bench has grown, the bench is long, the bench is deep, the bench is qualified, the bench is ready to lead day one. And what we need is to have our progressive partners recognize the type of leadership that Black women bring to these decision-making tables. We have been boldly leading during COVID-19, like the mayors of the top 100 cities. In 2014, there was only 2 Black women serving as mayors of top 100 cities. We now have 7. And you've seen how our leadership shows up. We currently still have a lot of work to do. We only have 15 Black women serving as state executives, and we still have not elected a Black woman governor. Not because we didn't do all the work and voter suppression blocked it, but we did the work. And we know that there are amazing Black women across this country thinking about running for office, from local school board to president. And for me, I do this work for my goddaughter, who sits in Atlanta, Georgia, and knows that she can be anything she wants to be. And she is excited about this moment. She's excited about organizing her girl crew of 15-year-olds, because they know that they are the future built on the legacy of Shirley Chisholm. So I am so excited to introduce an amazing leader in Congress, an amazing voice coming from the South, a fighter of not only a variety of issues that Black women care about. At the end of the day, Black women want economically thriving, educated, healthy, and safe communities. And that's the voice she brings to Congress. But she is also the defender of our democracy and is fighting to ensure that every single vote matters in every single election. And she has a huge fight ahead. And I know that we are all prepared to join that army. And that is in the form of an amazing leader who is also, from a daughter of the South, a member of the same organization I belong to, that is Congresswoman Terry Sewell.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I know that Higher Heights is the reason, as well as Emily's List and so many women organizations that really helped me, catapulted my candidacy 10 years ago to become Alabama's first Black Congresswoman. It is indeed an honor for me to be here to address this Women's Caucus. To the DNC Women's Caucus Chair, Lottie Shackelford, the officers and the beautiful ladies who are gathered here today, I'm Congresswoman Terry Sewell, and I proudly serve as Alabama's first Black Congresswoman, representing the civil rights cities of Birmingham, Montgomery, and my hometown of Selma, Alabama. It is an honor to address you on the eve of the 100th anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment, pivotal legislation that guaranteed the right to vote. It was a long, hard-fought win. The Seneca Falls Convention was in 1848, and suffragists would continue to push for women to get the right to vote for over 72 years until we finally got the 19th Amendment, which was adopted and ratified August of 1920. 100 years, white women and Black women dared to fight for women's suffrage and their equal right to vote. What courage and tenacity, audacity and persistence they had. Today, 100 years later, women are making their mark in every profession, in education, law, business, medicine, the military, and yes, we serve at every level of government. And when we win, a Black woman will serve as Vice President of the United States. But we still do not participate in numbers equal to our proportion of the population. Indeed, we still have work to do. Ladies, I submit to you that we are all trailblazers, since we all inherit the path blazoned by the courage of Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Stanton. We are all trailblazers, inheritors of the ingenuity of Sojourner Truth, who proudly declared, "Ain't I a woman?" that recognized the contributions of Black women to the women's movement. Black women like Mary McLeod Bethune, Ida B. Wells, Mary Church Terrell, and so many others. We are all inheritors of a trailblazing modern day chutzpah of Shirley Chisholm, Hillary Clinton, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, and yes, when we go to the polls and we vote in record numbers, the first Black woman Vice President nominee, Senator Kamala Harris. Ladies, we come from greatness. If only we would recognize, utilize, organize, and use our collective power. We are a powerful voting bloc. In the 2018 election, women cast 53% of the ballots compared to 47% of men. And there is no denying that the most reliable Democratic voting bloc is the African American woman. We vote Democrat on average 88% of the time. Just look at my state of Alabama. In 2017, Black women were able to turn the tide of a Senate race, ensuring that Senator Doug Jones blew victory in this reddest of red states. We can do it. There is no stopping the power of women's political participation if we work together. Now more than ever, we need the civic engagement of women. We as women cannot afford to stand on the sidelines. We must let the voices be heard. Let all of our voices be heard, from the halls of Congress to the boardroom to the PTA meetings. The issues facing our nation are too important to remain silent. We know that when women succeed, America succeeds. We know that when women are engaged in our communities and the political discourse, important issues dealing with our families, children, and the environment are addressed in a more meaningful way. The 2020 presidential election is so important. So much is at stake. From our very lives, given the COVID-19 pandemic, to our livelihood with ensuring the ensuing economic crisis, to our very democracy, given President Trump's pernicious efforts to undermine our post office and suppress our vote. In the words of my friend, colleague, and mentor, Congressman John Lewis, voting is the most powerful, nonviolent tool we have. And I believe that now more than ever, we should come together to vote like we've never voted before. And what an exciting ticket in Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. It's a dream ticket, ready to govern on day one, to restore dignity, respect, and integrity back to the White House. Not only is Joe Biden a champion of women's rights, civil rights, and the author of the Violence Against Women Act, but we also will have the opportunity to vote for the first Black woman on a major party ticket with his selection of Senator Kamala Harris as his running mate. Joe is not afraid of strong, smart, and ambitious women, and he has shown us that he has great judgment in choosing Kamala Harris. You know, as Alabama's first Black Congresswoman, this moment is deeply personal to me. It is the culmination of the work of so many strong Black female trailblazers who have come before us, from Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, to Shirley Chisholm, women who organized, strategized, and fought to ensure equal rights for all Americans, regardless of race or gender. When I learned that Kamala had been selected by Joe to join him on the ticket, I was in the car with my mother, who served as Selma, Alabama's first Black councilwoman. We both burst into tears, knowing that the historic significance of that moment. I know that there is no better person to push this country forward with Joe than my fiercely intelligent sorority sister. Countless times, both Joe and Kamala have demonstrated a commitment to serving our country, fortifying our democracy, and fighting for the equality of all Americans. Kamala's personal story growing up as a daughter of Jamaican and Indian immigrants is a true example of the American dream and all that is possible in this country if you work hard and you're determined. Ladies, we are in an inflection point in our nation's future. Over 160,000 Americans have lost their lives to coronavirus. People of all ages and races have taken to the streets to determine and demand that systemic change in structural racism that has existed and perpetuated in every structure and institution of America must be broken down. As we look to the future, it is critical that we have leaders equipped to unite us and to take this country forward. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris represents that talent and diversity of our party and of our country. So let's get to work. Let's vote. V, volunteer. O, organize. T, turnout. And E, elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, President and Vice President of the United States. It is my honor to now turn it back over to Lottie Shackelford, who has led ably this Women's Caucus. She is a dynamic, a supreme, a fabulous, phenomenal woman who has been leading in the Democratic National Committee for so long. I turn it over to you, Lottie, and thank you for the opportunity to address the caucus today.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman Sewell. You know, I'm just in awe. I said at the beginning of this how excited and how energetic everybody was, how electric things are. I just can't wait. I can't wait for us to hit the streets, hit the airwaves, Zoom, call. We're going to get this vote out. So thank you, Congresswoman. Now I would like to introduce you to a video. Even with all of the concerns and the confusion that's caused by this pandemic, and of course the occupant in the White House, this is still an exciting and historical time in our country. Women have stepped up. They have stepped up to the challenge at every level. And as we watch this next video, it will remind us, all of us, of the why, and why we say yes to being a force for for positive change. And yes, to joining Kamala Harris and Joe Biden onward to victory on November the 3rd. Let's watch this video.
All right.
Hi. Sorry to keep you.
That's all right. You ready to go to work?
Oh my God. I'm so ready to go to work. I was raised to take action. My mother knew that she was raising two black daughters who would be treated differently because of how they looked. Growing up, whenever I got upset about something, my mother would look me in the eye and ask, "So what are you gonna do about it?" That's why, when I saw a broken justice system, I became a lawyer to try and fix it. It's why, during the foreclosure crisis, I took on the big banks as California's Attorney General. It's why, as United States Senator, I have fought to represent people like my mother, people who politicians often overlook or don't take seriously. Right now, America needs action. In the middle of a pandemic, the president is trying to rip away healthcare. While small businesses close, he's given breaks to his wealthy donors. And when the people cried out for support, he tear-gassed them. America is in crisis, and I know Joe Biden will lead us out of it. He's a man of faith, decency, and character. He raised his family that way. I saw it firsthand with my good friend Bo. As Joe says, we're in a battle for the soul of this nation. But together, it's a battle we can win. We just have to take action.
First of all, is the answer yes?
The answer is absolutely yes, Joe, and I am ready to work. I am ready to do this with you, for you. I'm just deeply honored, and I'm very excited.
Ladies, this has been a wonderful hour. I hope you really are ready, as Congresswoman Sewell said, ready to go out and work hard for this dream ticket, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. We also ask you to please join in with us on Wednesday. I think you have instructions before you as to how you go, and click on and join us. We'll be on 2 hours on Wednesday. In addition to that, if you have ideas of how you would like to be able to help us be victorious on November the 3rd, we welcome your input. We welcome your output. We're looking forward to working with you. I would like to give thanks today to all of the folk who've worked so hard helping us produce our show today. On the staff level, we had Maddie Tomaszewski and Rena Patel from the Democratic Convention team. We had Taylor Barnes, who has truly been the glue through all of this, and the production company Happily, helping to bring to you Women's Caucus 2020. Have a good evening, and be sure and tune in tonight and listen to a great program on our next president and vice president. Thank you.